Being a fourth generation dairy farm is great, but we got a whole new generation to think about. So along with doing everything we can to keep our cows healthy, we also do everything we can for the health of our planet too. Check out some of the things farmers do to ensure sustainable farming practices.
As farmers, we're always trying to think of how we can help the environment and how we can reuse things.
Dairy farmers are one of the more innovative sectors of agriculture. We are continuously investing in ways to do more with less, try to become more efficient. Farmers are amazing environmentalists. We don't always get labeled that way, but first and foremost, I own the land, and when you own an asset, you look after it. Dairy farming is one of the most sustainable farming practices. It is using the organic fertilizer to grow your crops. The animals consume your crops. It is truly an amazing cycle.
It's made for Canadians and it is made by Canadians, all done by family farms. And we are just trying to make the best quality product, and ensuring that we're not trying to make too much of the product allows us to keep focusing on quality, not on supply.
I am very proud that we have been able to reduce the carbon footprint 7% in the last 5 years on 1 liter of milk. That is a truly amazing number.
Keeping a good environment around them makes them happy, which produces more milk for us and better quality milk. There's no doubt that our footprint has gotten a lot smaller since cows can produce a lot more milk from one animal. It's definitely one of our main goals on the farm is to pass it on to the next generation. We want to keep everything the way it was and even better.
Another way we are dedicated to sustainable dairy farming is the way we feed our cows. You've already heard before that milk comes from healthy cows, and healthy cows eat healthy foods. Giving animals a precise, balanced diet is important, and many farmers grow their own crops to feed their cows. Cows eat hay, corn, wheat, alfalfa, and barley, while farmers do something called crop rotation. This involves cycling through these crops year after year, which ensure that the soil has the right nutrients at the right time. And that avoids harmful bugs that would otherwise eat the crops that we want the cows to eat. And what happens after the cow eats? Well, I think we all know that. But we don't let all that good manure go to waste. It actually provides important nutrients to feed the soil that grows the crops that the cows eat. So it's all one cycle of nutrients that keeps going. Along with recycling manure for the more sustainable farming, some farms are also investing in green technology, such as solar power, wind turbines, and biodigesters. Now you're probably wondering, what the heck is a biodigester? Well, this is something that's relatively new in Canada, and so far, about 30 Canadian dairy farms have invested in them. Fun fact, a biodigester was newly built just down the road from our farm. Along with using manure to make methane that gets turned into energy, they also use up local food waste. Here's more on biodigesters.
I've always liked the concept of being able to produce power with a waste product on farm. In the end, we designed our own digester and built it with the help of an engineering firm locally. A lot of that was quite labor intensive and very experimental at the time. The technology is a little more standardized now. The digester itself is quite simple. It's basically a big vat that we heat up to the body temperature of a cow, so 38.5 degrees, and stir it, just like the stomach of a cow. The bacteria that naturally occurs in a cow's gut exists in the digester, and that's what produces the methane. Trick is the system. So having pumps and agitators and tanks and heating mechanisms, that's what adds the complexity to it. But the basic reaction of digestion is quite simple. So our digester takes in about 8,000 tons a year of food waste, and we add that to the manure, and it actually enhances our gas production fairly significantly. But we knew we needed food waste to make enough gas to make the electricity that we needed. In our business plan, we factored $0 in for our food waste. But over time, it's become a real valuable service to the food industry around us, and they see huge environmental value and the idea of returning the nutrients to the land that created the food in the first place. It's actually able to charge for the food waste to be dropped off at our farm, and it's become a valuable part of our business plan. We process about 300,000 tons of organic waste a year. I think that's one of the exciting things about anaerobic digestion in general, is the circular nature of that economy. We're producing food that we send to the cities or the processors to make food for people. The waste from that food comes back to our digester, creates electricity, creates heat, creates fertilizer, and it creates bedding. So that loop gets completed. It's a nice feeling. As a farmer, that makes us feel good. So we can produce food, we can produce our own fertilizer, we can produce our own bedding, we can produce our own feed, and all of that gets subsidized by the food that we sent off the farm in the first place when the waste comes back to us. So that is a really nice story to tell.
According to Environment and Climate Change Canada, the federal government department, Canadian dairy production accounts for about 1% of Canada's total greenhouse gas emission. And dairy farmers are constantly looking for ways to reduce milk's carbon footprint, or hoofprint if you will. As with human nutrition, science evolves and we constantly find new ways to improve. Adopting new technologies, ensuring optimal cow feeding strategies, and major investments in research and innovation are ways we improve our environmental performance. To evaluate our progress over the years, Dairy Farmers of Canada commissioned a life cycle assessment study to measure the environmental impact of dairy farming in Canada. We assessed the hoofprint of milk production based on international standards ISO for the year 2011 and again in 2016. These life cycle analyses show that over that 5-year period, farmers made progress that resulted in fewer greenhouse gas emissions, less water used, and less land required to produce milk.